this is neck. This is a US Solid model of semi-automatic bottle labeling machine, and these are all the parts that should be included with the package as it arrives. Okay, there's a little hand knob threaded that goes in here that assures that this roller actually has a grip on the labels. And you see, as I tighten this with my hand, you shouldn't really tighten this with any like a wrench or anything, because it's going to stop this from rotating. But you can see how it gets closer. You see, closer, further. Okay, so just barely to touch, like here, and that's what you're gonna do with your labels. Okay, good stuff. Huh? Okay, so all these, I'm gonna show this as an example of how it needs to be done. There is a locking washer, a little locking washer here that, well, is of the wrong size. Okay, this one is correct, and then goes the washer. Okay, so it should look something like this. And you should be having 3 of them, like that. And for this particular piece here, and I'll show you. So 2 washers, one of them locking, and you have these 3, and then you take this part. Okay, this is like a little sliding area here, and this they call very well, clumsily, paper tray. It really shouldn't be called that. And this goes like this, and then it needs to attach to these 3 holes over here. Okay, and so first thing first, we put these through these things, little bolts here, here, and here. Okay, and then we align them with the holes right here, and try first to finger tighten if you can. He needs to grab a little thread. Okay, and then you take one of the supplied little Allen wrenches and ready to go. Okay, this other side, we need to remove one of those screws. Okay, Allen ones, and you see that there's these 2 threaded holes. This is actually threaded inside, and this one is threaded in this aluminum. So this is how you go. Position first. Okay. You can choose. So now these 2 sliders, they're gonna attach this piece for stamping. And okay, so this roller here that's supposed to store a bunch of labels for the bottles has this supporting part that attaches to it, and after it attaches to it, you can use this particular rubber tensioner here that by friction tensions your labels. Okay, in the process of actually putting this together and testing the device, the machine, you will have to gauge whether or not this is something you want. But either way around, right now you just attach it and then put it on, and we'll see. Okay, that's to stabilize your labels. You attach another of these guides. Don't wiggle around. Hot stamping, printing, coating machine or coating part that you position on the sliders like this. There is a thread underneath it, and again, just like with everything else, put these 2 washers on your Allen screws, and then just attach it from below, and that's that. Okay, the hot stamping assembly can be slided, but bear in mind that this label, however you position it, it actually needs to go through the sensor here. This is the actual sensor right here. This sensor. So the label needs to go through here, okay? So if your label is thin, the whole stamping apparatus and your label itself and this tensioner out here, everything needs to be on this side because of this guy here, okay? And so you can slide this, and after you slide the hot stamper, you just lock it. There's a little lock right here, and now this is locked. It cannot move anywhere. So I'm going to show you now how to wiggle in your labels through, how to thread it properly. And so you first go around your stamping machine with the hot stamping printer, coating printer, and go just like this, okay? After that, you go underneath this little shaft, this one right here, and through the sensor, okay? So the sensor has two leads. One is the source for the light, and another one, a lead, is for the, well, I don't know which one is which, to be honest. But one of them is light, another of them is sensor. And it's going to shine a light through this, and that's how it's going to know how to stop. When it is here, it's going to be running, but once it reaches this white area, it's going to stop. So let me show you how to thread it through. First thing you do is you go underneath this. Okay. Underneath this roller. And now this is a little bit ungrateful because it's actually hard to see. Okay. And so there is a plate here. This plate right here is intentionally like this so that once you pull your label through in such fashion, the next one, oops, is gonna get like this, ready to be put on your bottle. It's out. Now this machine, just pay attention how this is threaded so you don't make a mistake. You go here, okay, and you go inside, and then you actually have to lift it. There's a really big hole underneath it that's not very visible at the time. Let's see if I can show this. There's a hole here beneath. You should show that. Yeah, this hole, and this is how you put your hands to here and try to gauge it in between these guys, between this roller. This one is powered by motor. This one is just adding tension so it doesn't slip. Okay, and there it goes. That's it. And so that's how you do it. One important thing is to finger tight this. Don't use any wrench to tighten these guys, because you can actually, if you apply enough pressure, you can stop this from moving altogether. So just a little finger tight. That's not even a lot of finger tight, to be honest. That's it. Hot printing controller, but this is, yeah, it is a hot printing controller. First has a power. It's impossible to mix this up. They have a different number of pins, so yeah, it doesn't necessarily need explanation. Okay, that's one connection. Another connection goes from, this is power supply connection. Another connection goes to the actual hot printer from here, so it tells it when to actually stamp. And this gets connected back to the actual printer. It has a connection here, like this. Okay. So then there's another unit that needs to be connected, and it also has a completely different connector so it doesn't get mixed up. It has 4 pins and it has to do with switches. There are switches in here. I don't know if you can hear this slight click. They get activated every time you label your bottle. This thing sends a signal that it needs to rotate another length of your label, and so this is connected into your main unit, because this part and this part are talking through this. Okay, so let's put the temperatures to low so we don't burn ourselves. Okay, so now we have installed our labels. We have the tensioner right here, this green part. It makes it tense, so these are not too loose. And now I'm going to show you how to operate the sensor. The sensor here has a cover, protective cover. This protective cover really needs to be there because anybody can mess with this if you don't hear. If you just touch it, it's gonna make it, well, it's gonna make it not operate. So, okay, now let's try to explain this. This particular device controls this sensor right here. There is a light that comes from beneath, and this detects the light, okay? And so if I remove, let me attach this to here. So if I remove the label from here, be focused here. If I remove the label from this, you see, it turns it on and off, okay? See the light turning on and off? Okay, that's because you can actually manually set up this to know when you're on the label and when you're in between the labels. And the way that you set this up is you put your label on here and, okay, put it through. And then here, with a coarse adjustment, you can increase the amount of light with your Phillips screwdriver, okay? So you see now that this is shining. The way that you want to set up when it goes through your label is that you don't see anything, okay? So you set it up to be very fine with your fine, well, you have fine and coarse adjustments, so let's see. Okay. And then, I think I should use a smaller Phillips. Okay. Just when it turns off, okay? That's your setting for the label, okay? Now, take this out and move it to this white part here in between labels. Or, what you can do, move it over here, you could put material that is actually holding the label together through it. And this material should not turn this light off, okay? So the light is on, even if you put it through. Last light, so that it actually turns off. Okay, it turns off. And when you remove it, turns on, off, on, off. And let's test it one more time. This is on, and this is off. That's the idea. Okay, so now, this is how this device knows when the label starts and when the label stops. And that's going to control the motor. And that's going to, in a way, adjust for the length of your label, okay? So first thing first, go back here, tension this guy here, so that you don't have those problems. Okay, it kind of has to be, well, not too tight though, because, yeah, well, this one here has well, we'll see. Okay, now, so the way that this machine is actuated is there are two switches. You can actually see this switch, you can see an arm of it, that get pressed with this arm. Okay? So what happened right now? What happened right now is that these switches were engaged, okay? The machine said, okay, let's go. And as soon as this detector detected this break between these labels, it stopped. And in return, it produced one of these labels, okay? So you would, in theory, put your bottle here. Okay, let me, this is kind of too tight, okay? Put your bottle here. And so this roller would come together with your bottle, engage, and your bottle will get labeled, okay? And so we could in theory demonstrate it with so if, however, if this is not set up as perfect as it is here, what you need to do is you need to slide slightly your detector. Okay, so you see if I slide it here, it turns this on. If I slide it here, it's off. And so just at the beginning of your label, when it turns it off, that's where you stop it. Okay, and so, and it should be entire label like that. Okay, and that is the procedure behind this. It's the bottle labeling machine is now set up. We've spent some time to adjust the sensor for the length of our particular label. If your label is longer or shorter, this will pick it up. I explained in the previous video how. So there's a little light here. Why don't you come here too? Yeah. There's a little light. Well, let me see it. Yeah, that's... This thing has a protection cover that when you open, this light, okay, this light should be not visible once you're on the label, but as soon as you go off the label to some area where it's white, for example right here, it should turn on, okay, and that's how you adjust these. And so now, every time it turns around, this detector detects this white part here and stops. Okay, so go, detect, stop. Okay, and that's how this part, the labeling part, operates. And now what we want to do is we want to try to synchronize our stamping part with each and every one, each and every each and every label. And so I press this. Okay, so it's very important that this stamps after it moves. Okay, and so here you can set up when will this move. Okay? When will this move? You can go back and forward in time, and it will move. It should move if it moves at the same time that your label dispenser is moving, is going to rip everything apart. Okay, so expect to spend 2 or 3 hours to figure out how this machine works. It's not necessarily very straightforward, but this machine is very versatile. It can be put in what you can do is you can actually drill holes in this aluminum and thread it whenever you want and kind of put it into some other arrangements. And let me just show you one more time. Okay, and then stamp. And here you can look and see this stamp. Right now the stamp is, the machine is not hot enough, and our settings is probably not good because it's actually ripping a little bit. Let's see again. Yeah. So if you see that you're experiencing this kind of ripping, what you should do is you should shorten your arm, this arm right here. Okay, so first loose this guy, but don't touch here. This is very hot right now. It's a hot stamping, like a printer coder. And first get this guy loose, the upper one, and then just a little bit shorten this arm. Okay, so you don't necessarily, okay, like this. That's it. Okay, that's all it takes. And let's see if it makes any difference. You see, now it's not ripping through, but it also doesn't show any letters. The reason it doesn't show letters is because we didn't wait. You need to wait half hour, maybe 20 minutes, for this part to get hot enough, so we can show that in a different part of a different video. We don't want to wait for 20 minutes. So okay, so what else would I want to say? It's not easy to set it up, but once you set it up for a particular type of labels, it's very easy to use. What you would do here is you would put your bottle, okay? Okay, so depending on the size of your bottle, you would have to make certain adjustments, okay? So this piece, this lever right here, actually reaches to these little switches. You see this little switch over there that you can actually move? Maybe you should come closer so you can show them. And so this part pushes this and it rotates, okay? And so what you want to do, because your bottle is bigger, you see, this never reaches your switch. You want to rotate this screw, okay, extend it until it actually hits until it actually is long enough to hit your switch. So I'm going to turn it off so I don't engage it right now. But as you can see, now this is engaged. This is pressed. And I need to do exactly the same thing on the other side. This close up this part. Maybe from here, from where I stand. Okay, now get closer to show them. So as this lever moves, this bolt will come to the switch and engage this whole thing, okay? And as a result, your bottle is going to get a nice label, and the other parts are going to get stamped like we did here. You should be able to see a little bit here if you get closer. Okay, well, let's repeat the process. So put whatever bottle you're labeling, and okay, well, that was okay. So that's how you put the label on. It starts a little bit like this, and then you bring another bottle, put it like this, it rotates, and that's how it's done. There's slight adjustments that needs to be made from time to time. You see here, we wanted to write US Solid because that's the brand, but we miss S, so we put number 5 instead. Okay, so that's the story, I guess. Should be enough.